Hi everyone, it's Allison. I'm in my violin studio, and today I want to talk about staccato. Staccato, I had a couple of people ask questions about staccato, and I started to make a video, and I started going off in 14 different directions, because staccato is a pretty exciting. Staccato is like, it's like the big cheese, you know. When it comes to violin, having a good staccato is where you get phrasing, musicality, your ability to create articulations, good rhythm, good sound quality, great legato. It's everything comes back to staccato. So it's really it's fun. It's so rich. If you have a good quality staccato, the violin is your oyster. How's that for an expression? Okay, so let's start with the really simple thing. Staccato. When you play on a violin, you've got a bow going across a string, right? And you can play, your bow can kind of skate across the surface of the string in a skatey manner or floaty manner. Sometimes we do that for an effect. But if you're doing it because you don't know how else to do anything else, that's a problem. Because the richness of the instrument, you're only going to get the heart of your violin to ring if you learn how to get your bow into the string. And the whole notion of into and out of the string, imagine, if you will, a cross-cut vision of a string. You know, a string vibrates, right? It's vibrating. I'm sure you can't see that on the screen, but so you've got this string, and it vibrates, right? When it's vibrating, it goes up and down. So there's an area in which that string is moving. I'm not a scientist, so don't hold me to scientific accuracy here, but the string is moving through space. If your bow is just kind of sliding over the outside, so your bow is only hitting the string when the string vibrates to the upper extremity, you're just kind of getting a portion of the sound. So what you really want to do is you want to get your bow into the middle of that vibrating zone. So it's really in there, right? Does that make sense? It's an image. Some people will get it, some people won't. Okay, so the staccato is made up, in my opinion, of three parts. There's the bite, there's the duration, and there's the bite. It's like you have to bite in to start the note, then you have a duration, which is your note value, your rhythmic value of your note, and then you have to bite back into the string to close the note. And this is really important. A lot of people skip that, and that's where you end up with a really poor staccato that kind of turns into a poor quality legato, which turns into no musical phrasing and poor sound quality. So don't want to do that. Bite. Can you see? Can you see that I'm wobbling my stick up and down? Okay, so I want to get into the string to start. And of course, when you start doing this, you have no control, all right? So don't worry about creating a beautiful sound. You're not going to get a beautiful sound. Go for a really crunch, hard quality bite. You know, start there. That's okay, because you can clean up a bite. But if there is no bite, you can't fix that. So, and of course, if you've been playing for a while, you know, you just have to think about this and realize that you can do it. So you bite in. You're using your fingers on your stick. That's where that control is coming from. I'm not going to talk about bow grip. Duration, and I bit back in. So I'm still biting. There's my note duration, and then bite back in. Okay. So to create the bite, you use your hand. And this is, if you've ever played a recorder, you know, and a lot of wind instruments, and I know very little about wind instruments, except I did play the oboe for a couple of years. And in the oboe, you do, on a recorder, you go, that's the percussive element of the beginning of your sound. You want your sound to have a sharp, clean beginning, right? So you can be rhythmically, that's my note. It's not kind of, you know, that's not a good beginning for a note. You need, so you have the, but then you blow into it, right? That's going to look good on a video. So you have maybe at the end if you need a staccato note, right? So, and the violin, we also do that. So it's helpful to separate that. The t is here, right? Your fingers. You're going to bitey. You're going to create your bite with finger sensitivity. This absolutely requires a very relaxed bow hold. Okay, kind of a bear hug. You're going to use a bear hug to lean into the string. Okay, I don't like the word pressure. It implies, but you kind of, I don't know if you can see, if all your joints twist a little bit, like turn, 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 if everything's turning inwards, you're not really doing pressure, but you're leaning through probably your first finger. You're leaning into your stick, and you can make the stick bobble up and down. Okay, so bear hug, lean in, and feel that the bow is coming down on the string. That's your bite. Then the duration is in the forearm. The hand does not play the bow. The forearm plays the bow. Okay, so once you've got the bite, then what you need to do is just kind of imagine somebody's tied a rope around your forearm and they pull it out. Okay, I'll show you. Got a bite? No. Pull. And then sometimes people try and use the upper arm to clamp down on the upper arm. Should be doing nothing for the moment. We're just doing a small bow stroke. So, okay, use your hand, lean into the string, push the forearm out, and then when the forearm stops moving, the hand sinks right back in. Okay, so you're sinking in. Now let's pull the arm out, and the minute that stops, this sinks in again. So if you look at the bow, have you ever seen a sea-doo or a speedboat? You know, when they're not going anywhere, they sink into the water. And the minute you hit the engines, the thing kind of rises up out of the water and goes, and then the minute you cut the engine, it sinks back down into the water. And there's another image that may or may not work for you. You're in, this is like sinking in the water. The minute you actually start to move, the bow will feel like it rises up a little bit. Not in the air. Don't let your bow come into the air. Always keep the bow sticking to the string. So, but once you start moving, it'll rise up a little bit. And then you sink back down again when you come to the end of that. Okay? Alright, so we talked about what is a staccato. It's a bite followed by your note duration, and it ends with another bite. Okay? And then we talked about how to get a bite that's in your hand. We talked about how to make your note duration, and that's your forearm. For the moment, it gets more complex later, but for the moment, do short bow strokes and only use your forearm. Don't let this come into it. There is a big danger if your whole arm just does kind of like a frozen L. You may be using a lot of muscle tension and pressure to create the sound on the violin, but your bow is not really sinking into the string. So the sound quality will be crunchy, possibly unpleasant. Your shoulder will be getting tired, okay? You should be able to see that your forearm is moving independent. I'm wearing a black sweater, so you can't see that very well. But you want to see the forearm moving without this part moving, okay? It's not everything moving from there. It's just the forearm coming out. Okay, because we need to have those two parts of the arm able to function separately, and I discussed that elsewhere in the bow stroke stuff. Okay, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. Rhythm, I'm going to talk about that in another video, but when you have a successive, let's say eighth notes, like, okay, the amount of time that it takes for you to do that bite at the end of the note that's time that you're stealing from the note value. So if you have quarter notes written and you're playing them staccato, you're probably actually sounding an eighth note, and you're getting, like, the amount of time that the bite takes is kind of like the other half. So if you suddenly unpredictably skip a bite, you end up changing the rhythm of the piece. Be really, really dogmatic with your bites. Be patient. And if you're in the beginning period, you may have a teacher who tells you to learn a piece in stop bows, even though you can hear on the recording that that's not what they're doing. But you need to master your staccato first. So just slow down and you know, you can apply staccato to everything for a couple of weeks until you start to master the basic habit. Because there's a little bit of a wait at the end, you know, you have to kind of wait at the end of each stroke. Let your ear and your arm get used to that, and then move on in different directions. All right, so keep it really clean, sharp, good quality, and listen to the ringing of the instrument. If you have a successful staccato, after you've bitten back into the string and your bow isn't moving anywhere, you'll still be getting ringing coming out of your instrument. That's what you're looking for. Okay, have fun, and I will do a couple more on this subject going into more detail. Okay, thanks, bye.